Royce here, rolling in 2025, and had a little extra time on my hands, and I really needed to do some stuff in my garage, so I decided to make these clamp holders. I did them on Fusion 360, and what I would love is any of those Fusion 360 gurus out there, if you could, you know, show me or tell me what I could do better, then great. And then if you happen to be new at Fusion 360, hopefully this tutorial kind of thing will show you some tricks that I already know. So stick with me. There's a free file. The link below will take you to my website. My website has the file, and you can just grab it there. It's free. So jump on in. So starting off with Fusion 360, this is sped up, so it's going to be hard. I made a rectangle because I knew my dimensions need to be 9 by 9. Okay, that's roughly what I wanted. And then I switched it over to construction lines just so I could see. The rest of this is really just me building with lines. You can use the line tool up at the top left, or you can press L. But it's really just me dimensioning this out. I can't imagine that there's an easier way to do this. So I just came up with a simple idea of what I wanted it to look like, and uh, built it out with a lot of it's 1/2 inches. And then my material is plywood, and it's 0.696 inches thick. So I went 0.7 right here, and then you'll see me do another 1/2 inch. So it came down 1 1/4 inches, and then from here I made this guideline. Uh, so when I made my 45-degree angle for the French cleat, it would have something to connect to, and I could just go back and delete it. So there's my first 45, and then I know from the tip of my uh, cleat to the next tip is 6 inches. So I just threw in a 6 there, did another 45-degree angle overshooting so I can cut off. Well, that's a 135-degree angle if you're curious. And then I came up 1 1/4 inch, went in 0.7, went up 1/2, and then back over 0.7 again. I know I could go slower on this stuff. Like I said, it's sped up a little bit, but it's a lot to cover. And I think a lot of people that would be giving advice would probably uh, die if this thing was 2 hours long. Because this is coming straight out of my brain, I had a lot of working back and forth with ideas, and that was one. I don't know if you caught what I did there. I had to go back a little bit to figure out how I was going to do this angle and everything and make it all fit and still have a little bit of a cleft there for the French cleat. So my next point is to round these over so the bit will work in them, but I'm going to delete these construction lines real quick, just because they're not needed anymore. I just had them there to make sure that my end product was roughly 9 by 9 inches. So I'm going to work on putting that bit spot in there. Had to go around a little bit. And what I thought of was just doing an offset with this line here and setting it at 5/16. And then I'm going to make a circle that's 5/16. And you might be saying, well, why 5/16? Well, my bit that I'm planning to use on it is 1/4 of an inch. So 5/16 will give it that uh, ability to pass through. While I'm talking here, I just did a tangent, and that basically lines up the circle with that upper line, and go in and clean things up to get your extraneous lines out of there. Got to get them all. And there you have it. You have that bit pass that'll allow you to get past the fact that you can't have a 90-degree angle with a round bit. So I'm going to do it again, do the offset 5/16. I'm doing negative on this one because it's pushing it down. And a 5/16 circle. And then we'll move it close, click on the line, and then do the tangent. And then very carefully pull it close in there. Trimming, I use the T button for that. If you're new, get used to L and T. I use them a million times on all my projects. So here you can see I'm kind of pointing out that again, you can't have 90-degree angles with bits on the inner surfaces. So I'm doing a T intersection, I guess it's called, or a dog bone. And then I'll do a tangent again, but I had to figure out where to do it. So this will allow that bit to go in there and you'll maintain a 90-degree. Well, basically the 90-degree won't even be there. Click T and clean all that up, and there you go. The bit will go in, cut through those half circles. So your geometry on the part you're cutting out will be square. Again, if you're interested, the file will be linked down below. If you appreciate stuff like this, like and subscribe. I'm trying to build this. It's my hobby. It's what I do outside of work and kids and all that stuff. Just a normal dude trying to make a little extra money. My kids trying to go to veterinary school. So this is going to be the part that connects the two larger pieces together. And I figured out that my Bessey clamps are, if I have a 1.1 inch clearance, my clamps will fit right in there. And then I did a 1.5 inch width. And then the tabs will be 0.696 and 1/2 an inch again. Right. I'm going to go ahead and copy this. Struggled with this copy a little bit. The magic of video editing that looks so smooth. Trust me, that was not smooth. Nothing I do is ever smooth. And then I'm going to do a midpoint join here using my constraints for midpoint. And that just lines everything up, and those little tabs will go in those holes there. I'm going to go back with T, and I'm going to clip these out. And there we have our tab. But again, we can't have 90-degree angles with round bits. So we're going to go back and make some more 5/16 holes, circles, uh, make a couple copies, and then copy them again. do the same thing. And there we go. We have our 4 circles, and we're going to do the same exact thing that we did up above doing the tangents, and then just move them into the spot. You got to make sure that you don't change any of the geometry. And this is one of those areas that I'd love a more knowledgeable person telling me, hey, can I slide that without changing the geometry of what's already there? I actually went to college uh, for AutoCAD, but if you know AutoCAD and Fusion 360, they're not the same program. However, they're super close. I feel like AutoCAD feeds Fusion 360, but they're not exactly the same. So as I'm learning Fusion 360 and getting better at it, I keep finding little things that uh, you know no professor ever told me about. I think I had a tiny bit of a moment right here. Keep clicking midpoint, and that's not what I'm trying to do. Bring that last circle over here, clean it up, and basically the design work is done. I like doing little exercises like this. For one, I needed new clamp storage. I bought those at Rockler. They were on sale in a big pack. Um, and we did a bunch of clamp holders at the shop. Um, and I brought the file home and I was like, oh, wait, the French cleats at the shop are not the same size as my French cleats at home. It's also kind of why I'm showing you this is the chances of your French cleats being the same size as mine are pretty slim. So if I show you how to do it and you're interested in doing this, then you'll be able to replicate it to the dimensions of your stuff. Again, the file will be attached and you can manipulate that if you want to, or you could just take it as an exercise and learn some stuff. So now I'm over in manufacture, and we're going to set up my material. Um, I always do point box, and I cut from the top with um, my Onefinity. I cut from the bottom with the Laguna Smart Shop 2 Pro. Set up the stock, uh, fixed box size or a relative. Relative is a little bigger. I want fixed stock because I like space. I don't like messing stuff up. So I'm going to go 10 by 10. And then everything I'm cutting here, if when we get to the video and you watch what I made, you're like, wow, that's really good plywood. Well, yeah, it is, except it's a remnant from a cabinet. So it's not actually being used. And I'm just keeping it out of a landfill. So I set up my height to 0.696. Again, that's the thickness of my plywood. And so that's the setup. Now I'm going to go to 2D contour. I'm going to pick my tool. You'll notice in the video, I used a compression bit, which didn't work perfectly because I programmed this for a downcut spiral, my 46202K that I always talk about. Um, if I had programmed this for compression bit, I would have ramped it in past the point of the upcut portion of the bit, and that would have prevented some tear out. So when I'm doing this closed chain, I want to point out those little red arrows. They have to be on the outside. We're going to go over here and check out everything. Passes. I'm going to do multiple depths. I almost always cut half the diameter of my bit. So I'm using a 1/4 inch bit. So I'm using 0.125 inch passes. Everything else is good. You're going to have to decide with your bit, with your machine, whether the stuff in Fusion 360 is good. But because I download uh, my bit information into Fusion 360, it's always pretty accurate. I'm going to do a ramp, and again, it's 1/8 of an inch. But again, if I had programmed this for the compression, I would have just dived in, dived in. So this is what we're looking at, and I always check it to make sure where the in feeds and out feeds are. Everything looks good. I'll run a simulation. I always run simulations uh, just to see what I'm going to get, because you never know when something goes funky. And that all looked good. The speed of the simulation usually doesn't matter. It's just watching where the bit goes. And then I'm going to create my NC. And I'm planning to do quite a bit of these files, so it's just going to be the name of what I'm doing, clamp, my bit, and then the depth of cut. That always matters when you go back and if you change material or something like that. I always like to have that on my file. And you see it successfully made that. So in the beginning of the video, I showed cutting it. I'm not going to show you that again. Went back and sanded the edges a little bit because, like I said, I used that compression bit instead of down cut. And then a little bit of glue. And you'll see me use my calipers to make sure that it's 1.1. Let it dry, hung it up, and there you go. Project complete. Like and subscribe. I appreciate it. Help me keep making videos.